medium to high risk. So again, it's really a screener, and it's good for low risk, and it can help us identify that quickly and really early upfront on the system.
One of the things that we also wanted to point out, there's some good handouts over here, and one in particular can give you some ideas for your agency, or if you're part of the criminal justice system, some aspects of evidence-based decision-making or evidence-based practices that may be of use in your agency. And the thing to keep in mind with all of this is that nothing is going to be set in stone. We are going to try to continue to tweak and improve. For example, as Charisse was presenting, she was talking about the latest research and questioning whether graduated responses are effective. And we've been using, what we were taught for the drug court is to use graduated sanctions. So that's something that we have to discuss and to sort out and try and get ourselves up to date. One of the things the judges have also been trained on in a number of different forums is the effect of trauma on children. And this is something that's really stuck out to me, because I've gone from handling all criminal cases to doing a lot of family cases. And the thing that I like to talk to people that are divorcing, and I've done a lot more divorces than I've done weddings so far as a judge. But they call them adverse childhood experiences. And going through divorce for children of divorce is an adverse childhood experience. And the behavioral science tells us the more ACEs children have, the more likely they are going to have physical, mental problems, health problems later in life, in addition to more likely to have alcohol and drug abuse problems. And so if throughout our system we're trying to reduce the number of ACEs children have, and they can be being in a home where there's active domestic violence, where there's actively psychotic mental illnesses, sexual abuse, physical abuse, all of these things are adverse childhood experiences. And so that's something that we're trying to be mindful, whether we're in the criminal context, the family context, the children's law context. Those are things that are important in all that we do. I want to thank everybody that's, again, for being here. We want to thank the county board for their forward thinking, and for the latest being adding a diversion court coordinator for the district attorney's office, but having a criminal justice coordinator, having a treatment court coordinator, for having a integrated treatment specialist. All of those things have been very helpful, and I don't think that we could be where we are, or even close to where we are, without the help that the county board has provided with those resources. But we also have things going on within the jail, and have had for a number of years, and I think that our jail, I believe, is one of the better jails in terms of how they treat people, with the programs they have in the jail, and compared to when I started back in when did I start? 1988, I think it was. Things have really changed. And so we're hoping, again, that what we do is we move forward, and that everybody looks at, again, their role as an important part of the overall criminal justice system. I guess one other pitch, because this is one of the things when I started that I wanted to see, and I know it's going to be very difficult to do, and we had to get past this training, but I wanted to see us get to a point where, with particularly OWI repeat offenses, that we get to a point where the law enforcement can work with the district attorney's office to have reports done in a way that they can be used relatively quickly by probation. They can be used relatively quickly by the district attorney's office in terms of being able to generate a complaint. We talk about celerity, and I know if I look at the staff in the DA's office, when I talk about getting a complaint, the day that someone appears at a bond hearing and they say, "Hey, are you nuts? Did you forget where you came from?" And I know how difficult that is. But those are the kinds of things on the horizon that, if we can do such things as reduce our case processing times by making sure that we're getting right on that case when they make that initial appearance, and that perhaps someone is matched up with a sobriety, and we have some way to ensure that they're sober while their case is pending. And believe you me, a lot of people put off the disposition because they don't want to stop drinking. So if you can stop that early on, you can break down some of that resistance to getting the case resolved. And we'll be looking at hopefully better outcomes in any event, but that just goes to show how if you're a clerical person in the district attorney's office, how important your job can be in order to working towards these greater goals. And that goes across the board to how we treat people at the window in the clerk of court's office can be very important. How we as judges, how all of us treat the people, the public that we work for, and I know that that's what the public expects as well. So I did forget a soapbox here. Any questions? Judge Smeltzer, any closing remarks as chairman of our Criminal Justice Collaborating Council?
The only thing, you mentioned one thing, and that was about resources. We have a number of resources that have been identified by the county, like Sarah, your staff that's now full-time. And I think what you do with a training like this, we got to start figuring out, let's be using these resources now. This training was fundamental, I agree, but I think we got to start moving ahead with you know, a little bit more action. We've been talking about this for years, and I like what Andrea said about, you know, that there's more collaboration right now. At least we got to this point. It wasn't always a little bumpy getting here, but I think we're at a good place.
That's a nice understatement there. We've had some tense meetings. We've had some difficult days, and I'm sure that there's going to be some difficult days ahead. But the thing is that we need to talk about our differences. We need to talk about how we're doing things and not be afraid to speak up, make suggestions, and to help steer us in more positive ways. So also want to thank our presenters. We were talking, since I did take a little swipe at Hillary Clinton, and you know, I guess it wasn't all that funny, but so maybe on the Republican side, I'll just say, the other day when I saw Donald Trump was had a heckler, and after the heckler was removed, and Donald Trump had said, "I'm old school. I'd like to smack him or punch that guy right in the face." And I thought to myself, is he modeling good behavior? I don't think so. In any event, I want to thank you all, and that's all I have. Thank you.